howdy and welcome. My name is Stacy Brown Jr. I'm a filmmaker and a skunk ape researcher down here in the great state of Florida. You see, that's what we call Bigfoot down in these parts, the skunk ape. Well, today I want to tell you one of my favorite tales of the skunk ape, the story of the Bardin Booger. We're going to talk to the people who were there, the people who keep it alive, and believe it or not, the people who are looking for it. The first stop in our journey brings us to Bud's grocery store. And we're meeting with some locals, and they've told us if we're going to learn about the booger, we've got to know about Bardin.
Karen Moore, Bardin, Florida. Lived here since I was 2, so I've been here better than 50 years. My family's been here probably better than 100 years.
My name is Doug Cruz, and I am from Bardin, Florida. Well, my family, a lot of them were here back in the 1800s, so I guess you'd say I'm a native.
I would say we're rural, very rural. More and more people coming in, but we're the type of community, I would say, that pretty much everybody knows pretty much everybody.
My grandparents lived here, and of course my parents and myself, I grew up here. Many descendants in my family, lots of aunts and uncles and cousins, just a lot of people.
Family-owned business right here for about 60 years. Everybody minds everybody's business. We look out for one another. I would say we're very close-knit. Lot of families been out here for years and years, and now their grandchildren are living out here also, so long heritage.
So I'm related to most all of the original families that were from Bardin area. Related somehow to most all of them.
Okay, what's the population in Bardin?
You know, I don't know for sure.
Well, there you have it. A small little town in nowhere, Florida, with nothing going on. Or so it seems. Okay, what is the Bardin Booger?
What is the Bardin Booger? That's a good question.
The old saying was that the circus came through and the monkeys jumped off the circus and they grew up into big monkeys.
Supposed to be something along the lines of like a Bigfoot character.
The Bardin Booger totes a lantern, and the people see it out off in the woods down by the creek. They say that that's the Bardin Booger up at night.
It's been a legend, myth in the Bardin area for many, many years.
Matter of fact, the earliest report of the booger comes from 1901.
To me, that's where it started, was the old timers made this stuff up and talked about the Bardin Booger, and then I think it's just been added to over the years.
I don't know, that probably started mainly talking about it as the Bardin Booger back in probably the early 70s or so, like that.
If the old timers could sit here, they could tell you some stories. You know, they could tell you the stories, whether they were stories or whether they're true.
My uncle, and this would have been back in probably the very late 30s or early 40s.
I can remember back, an older gentleman, Bailey Glisson, is the first person that I remember talking about it, sitting on his porch talking about the Bardin Booger. He lived down on the creek where the Bardin Booger is supposed to be seen. I can remember him sitting on his porch talking about him and the run-ins that they had with him.
He said something along these lines reared up on the side of his truck when at nighttime they had been into Palatka to go to the movies or something. We're on the way back, and it really scared them so bad that my aunt said they all went home and got in the same bed together. He said he didn't know what it was, but she also told me that it had a real strong odor to it, whatever it was.
Sounds like they're dealing with just a regular old skunk ape. But why don't we check in with those fellas that I told y'all earlier on were looking for the thing? You know, let's just see what they think.
Everywhere that there are Bigfoot sightings have different things to them.
Meet Josh, Watson, and Emmett Kessler with OutKast Paranormal. They spend their free time looking for things like the Bardin Booger.
Is it different than what we're in search of? I don't believe so.
In Bardin, people do respect the legend of the Bardin Booger. The last place they want to be is in the woods.
The Bardin Booger is Bardin, Florida's interpretation of Bigfoot.
I do believe there is a Bigfoot-like creature out here, and I believe we are going to find it.
Speaking of finding it, the boys have invited me to go out with them tonight and look for the Bardin Booger. Tell you what, I couldn't be more excited.
From everything that I've heard, everything that I've researched on the Bardin Booger, we're dealing with a town's interpretation of Sasquatch.
While the Bigfoot skunk ape explanation does make sense, it doesn't explain what's up with the lantern. Thank God Mr. Doug Cruz was around so he could shed a little bit of light on this subject for us.
But before that, in the 60s, when I was a kid growing up, there's a bridge down this way about 2 miles. It crosses Rice Creek. And when I was a young kid, people were talking about a light that used to come out of there, and it would chase people down the road supposedly, and they would run from it. And after that, it kind of, to me, I think that's kind of evolved into being the Bardin Booger.
While we were at Bud's Grocery, we were given a tip to go see a lady by the name of Miss Lena Crane. Apparently, she had a whole treasure trove of information that we could use for our film. And they let us know that it wouldn't be a booger film without having Miss Crane in it at some point.
Hello, I'm Lena Crane, and I want to tell you a little bit about the Bardin Booger. There's been reports of him from the early 1900s. Clothes being taken off of the clothesline and food being taken out of the kitchens and dogs missing and things like that out there. I talked to one lady, she was older when I talked to her, but said when she was a kid, she was laying in the bed at night and said something big and black and hairy looked in her window, and she said it had to be tall because the window was a long way off of the ground. But then another lady said they were driving out Bardin one time and said this big hairy thing ran across the road right in front of their vehicle, and it stepped right across the fence just like the fence wasn't even there.
Let me ask you, what do you think the Bardin Booger is?
I think it's a Sasquatch, really.
Well, that settles it. The Bardin Booger is nothing more than an ordinary Sasquatch. So how did the Bardin Booger get so famous then? I mean, Sasquatch are seen all over this country, and not every single little town has named their local Bigfoot. So what really happened? I guess we're gonna have to ask one of these fine folks here that's joining us on this program to tell us exactly what made the booger so famous.
So in the early 80s, it started with a newspaper article. There was a sighting here in Bardin.
He was spotted at Bud's store.
I don't know how it really got started. People just started talking about it, I guess.
It became something that everybody wanted to be involved in. Everybody wanted to see the Bardin Bigfoot.
So my late husband was a songwriter, entertainer, and he sat down and wrote a song about the Bardin Booger in about 5 minutes.
The Weekly World News came out here, and they're sort of like the Inquirer, that type of magazine.
Sighting after sighting after sighting in a month. Again, everybody in the town is close-knit family. So all these sightings in a month brings a lot of people to drag in the interest of the Bardin Booger.
And he had a 30-minute radio show at WSUZ in Palatka, and he played the song on his radio show. And when he did, everybody wanted a copy of it.
And they interviewed me and my uncle. His name was Bailey Glisson, and they had our pictures in there, and they pretty much exaggerated the story. I mean, they had stuff in there that we said, but also stuff that was exaggerated that we didn't say. Like the one thing they said in there was that the booger came and got scraps out of my uncle's yard to eat at night, and he never told them that. But
I think from there, it became entertainment for the folks here in Bardin.
As kids, we had fun with it. We tease people about it. If they come in, and we tease them about looking for the Bardin Booger tonight.
So we got a 45 made, and people were jumping our fence wanting to buy copies of them.
there was a show one time, and I believe it was called Flip. It was a children's show that come on Saturdays. They came out here and they had a lot of people from here at that time interviewed on that.
Discover if Bigfoot really lives in a remote swamp in Florida.
And Bud Key, he'd call me every once in a while, Lena, I need another box of those records. So he sold quite a few in his store.
And Mr. Bud, when he was here and was operating the store, he loved it. He had a good time with people talking about it, and then they started selling the T-shirts and that sort of thing. I think they had some caps too, and people would buy them. People would even come from out of town, or if they were in the area, they'd come out here just to buy that T-shirt, you know.
Something that started out, like I said, to me as an old wives' tale, and then has just evolved from there.
So it starts off the article and just progresses from there in this little town.
And just a little fun thing they were doing, and people would, like I said, I think they exaggerated or made up stuff a lot of times about it, that just for entertainment.
To summarize what you just heard, it seems that somebody saw a skunk ape in town, and somehow or another got the word to a local reporter by the name of Jody Delzell. Well, when that article was published, it hit big down at Bud Key's store, and a local frenzy started amongst the youth. Well, see, Bud seen a chance to make some money, so he started selling shirts and hats. And it wasn't long after that a local country singer by the name of Billy Crane decided that he wanted to get in on it too. Next thing you know, the Bardin Booger song was written, pressed up, and on sale at Bud Key's store. Now Jody, sadly enough, is no longer with us, so I couldn't get him in this documentary. But as I dug through his articles, something come across my plate. Well, it seemed that the Bardin Booger had been making appearances at children's birthday parties and grand openings and things of that nature. I couldn't for the life of me figure out how they got the Bardin Booger to come out of the woods. And then all of a sudden, Miss Lena Crane called me and said that the Bardin Booger had agreed to meet me.
So it was getting to be so popular that one time he was booked to do a radio remote with Don Sports. So anyway, Don Sports told him, said, you need to get a costume and take the Bardin Booger into entertainment. And Billy said, well, Don, I'm a little bit ahead of you. My wife done ordered a costume. Surprise. It went over so well with the kids that we just kept going and kept getting booked, and every time Billy was booked to go places, the Bardin Booger had to go with him. We've been to weddings and festivals and parades and all kinds of things. And this was in West Virginia.
Oh, Bardin Booger's done traveled.
Yeah, I went to my family reunion and entertained,
okay.
entertained the kids there.
It never stopped.
Had them dancing.
Yeah.
This one little boy at the Moose Club, he loved that Bardin Booger. And he came up to the Bardin Booger one day and he said, "Bardin Booger, I have something for you." And he reaches down in his little jean pocket and pulled out a wrinkled up letter that he had written to the Bardin Booger. And I still have that in my scrapbook.
She had more than letters in her scrapbook. She had every piece of information there was on the Bardin Booger.
These are from Mosley School.
Okay, you just went and did like an appearance
I did appearance and I autographed a bunch of pictures. Thank you for coming to Mosley School. Enjoyed your visit and your signing my picture. I like being with you and watching you sign the picture. The kids that I used to sign autographs for have kids that I'm signing autographs for now. So, I mean, that's how long I've been doing it since 1981. And that's basically the same thing. Now these 97, that'd make them how old now if they were in probably the 2nd, 3rd grade?
That would put
Maybe 23 years later, they'd be about 30.
Yeah.
Yep.
That was, I was the ugliest kids parade, best scary costume. It's 7490. And it's been a pleasure to do it. But, you know, I'd like to meet all those kids again as grown-ups and know how, you know, how their lives went and everything, but it would be almost impossible to do.
Now, back at Bud's store, the gang was busy telling me about how Miss Lena Crane wasn't the only one in town with a booger costume.
I tell you one thing, that one guy that used to be here, he's passed away now, but he used to like to dress up in like a suit, like a, I don't know if you call it a gorilla suit or what, a hairy suit. And he scared us to the hill one night.
When we were kids coming up, and I'm gonna say 12, 13 years old, a group of us decided that we were going to walk down to the cemetery and walk around the cemetery on Halloween night.
Just right out here, we were in the parking lot, the store was closed, and he came walking from behind the church back there with that suit on.
We got to the back side of that cemetery. One of the local men here had put that costume on and had laid down by that grave. And when we rounded that corner, he come up out of off back that side of that grave.
But I actually dove through the window of the truck. It scared me. I mean, thankfully the window was down. I dove into the truck. I didn't open the door.
We knew as kids we weren't supposed to be in the cemetery anyway. But when we rounded that corner and he come up out of that grave, it was on then.
He come over here and he was just rolling laughing because we really thought we had that it was, but it just come out of nowhere, you know.
Now it's time for me to join them boys in OutKast Paranormal and see if I can't have me a sighting of the Bardin Booger myself.
Well, seeing as how tonight we don't really know where to actually start, so we'll probably go from spot to spot. Try a couple different techniques. We'll do some wood knocks, some howls, and do anything we can to try to get a response. Try to direct us in the direction we need to go.
Well, I heard him. Holy shit, he growled back at me. I started down here. What'd you hear?
That's a fucking howl.
I heard it. It sounded like it was a good ways off. It probably was.
Well, much to my amazement, I believe we might have just heard the Bardin Booger. But the boys here are not satisfied with just hearing him. They want to see the Bardin Booger for themselves.
Something creeping around through there.
And I believe we are going to find it.
All right, I guess let me ask you this one last question then. Do you think the Bardin Booger will return?
I hope he does.
Oh, I don't know. Who knows? Maybe with this publicity, he might want to show up here before long.
I feel like it's a part of our history. I feel like we have to keep it, and that's what me and a few others out here have tried to do, because I feel like it's part of our history. We've got to keep it. That's all we have left, you know, is things like that. So we really need to keep it going, whether it be truth or whether it not be true. It's part of our heritage, I feel like.
Bardin, you all were just out there and you see how wooded it is now, and it used to be worse, but it's building up. There's more places in Bardin now. And they think the Bardin Booger has gone further back in the woods.
I think it's pretty important for us to get a little publicity and get people interested in. A lot of people never heard of Bardin before because, I mean, it's just a little place here. But with the publicity from this, a lot of people have heard about it. You know.
Had a lot of phone calls about it, you know, people wanting to know about it, and that's how I learned that it was in the Weird Florida Facts book. I didn't know that the Bardin Booger was in the Weird Florida Facts About Florida book. So a lot of people have told me things that I didn't even know that the Bardin Booger. I just mailed 2 T-shirts to Iowa. This lady called me from Iowa and said she had heard about the Bardin Booger and wanted to know about it. And I said, well, I'll send you a T-shirt. So I sent her 2 T-shirts to Iowa.
Find things on the internet about it sometimes, and if you go in there and look for it. Probably there might be some stuff on YouTube about it. I'm not sure about that, but had a few film crews come out here and do some stuff. I think it's important that keeps our little community out there where everybody knows, or some people know, that it's that we're here and we're real.
Yeah, like I said, it seems to be coming back, and it does seem to be. Over the summer, it seems to come back. I guess with families traveling, you know, families getting out and investigating, you know, weird stuff. So during the summer, we seem to have more people coming through, wanting to know about it, you know, than any other time. But I would say, like I said, in the last 4 or 5 years, it's made a comeback. It kind of died out, but then it's made a comeback.
I'd like for him to return, but I don't want anybody out there shooting at him. You know, I hope if he does return that they'll leave him alone and let him roam the woods.
Well, folks, that's about all the time we have for this program. I hope you enjoyed yourself and maybe you learned a thing or two. Now, if you're ever down in Florida, y'all make sure y'all stop by Bardin and swing on in Bud's Grocery and pick you up one of them Booger T-shirts. Well, until next time, I'm Stacy Brown Jr. Y'all take care. Okay, is there anything that the world should know about the Bardin Booger that we may not know right now?
He's a good guy. He's not out to hurt anybody. If he's here, he's just living the best of his life, and I don't think he's out to hurt anyone.
Best of Bardin Booger, Bardin is your home, and every day you love to roam. Running through the bushes and running through the trees. Best of Bardin Booger, don't you get me, please.
We're here in the woods. We're in search of the Bardin Booger today. We're going to see if we can find him and get an interview with him. He's getting pretty popular down here in Florida, you know. We're looking for the Bardin Booger, y'all. Kind of windy out here today. This would be a good day to find that old booger in the woods out here. Let's look around all these trees, see if we can find him. Hey, Booger. Hey, Bardin Booger. Where you at, Bardin Booger? That tree. Let's see if we can find him in this tree. Hey, Bardin Booger. Bardin Booger, you in any of these trees around here? My goodness, folks, I think I found the Bardin Booger's house. This looks like where the booger might be living. I believe it's something he built. I bet he's around here somewhere. Let's look around. There he is. Hey, Bardin Booger. What are you doing hiding? Oh, you ain't hiding? You just resting? Oh, you taking a siesta? Hey, Bardin Booger, you ever watch Total Hit Video on television? You do? Where do you watch it at? Oh, you go over to the neighbors and you sneak in the window and look at it. Won't you stand up, Booger, where I can see you? Looks like you had a rough night last night, Booger. What do you spend most of your time doing? Oh, you sleep a lot. You do anything besides sleep? What you do? Oh, you spend a lot of time running in the woods. Oh. Hey, Booger, that's a nice house you got over there. Where'd you get that house, Booger? Where'd you say you got a house, Booger? Oh, you built it. Oh, you did a good job, Booger. I like that. How come the fence up there? Keep people out. Oh, you don't want me messing around your house. Oh. Well, Booger, would you like to be on Total Hit Video on television? You would? Oh, you must like that show, Booger. You get kind of excited I start talking about television. Booger, we gotta go now, but we sure do appreciate talking to you, okay? We'll be looking for you later now. Bye-bye, Booger. One that the Bardin Booger drives, I see he's got his name on it. It's kind of roughed up a little bit. He must drive that in the woods. Hey, Bardin Booger. I see that's your own personal truck. You drive it all the time. How come it's so beat up and dirty? You drive it in the woods all the time. Oh, you ain't gonna sell that to nobody. Why don't you show me around your car lot, Booger, and show me what you got? Oh, boy, that's a pretty one. How long you had that, Booger? Oh, you got that when you just a little baby. Oh, you like that thing, huh? Well, how about the next one, Booger? What else you got? Oh, boy, that's a pretty pickup. Where you drive that now, Booger? Oh, you drive it on Sunday? Go to church. Oh, hey, you got some fender skirts on that, Booger. I never seen nothing like that, Booger. You kind of original, ain't you? You like that Ford truck, Booger? Well, that's pretty. I like that. What else you got to show me there, Booger? Oh, you got another one. Hey, Booger, that car's just a baby. That's only about 10 years old, ain't it? But you see, folks, what we've been trying to tell you is Fords is tough. And the Bardin Booger wouldn't buy nothing if it wasn't as tough as he is. He said he loves Fords, and that's why he drives Fords. So take a tip from the Bardin Booger. You want a car that'll last a long time that you'll love? Go out and buy yourself a Ford. Bardin Booger's a living proof of that. Right, Booger?
Mr. Bardin Booger, your coat is black. Your hairy on your face, your hairy on your back. When I see you, I get weak in the knees. Mr. Bardin Booger, don't you get me, please. Mr. Bardin Booger, Bardin is your home, and every day you love to roam, running through the bushes and running